Mishpat theme is from Exodus, and it's chapter 21, and it goes on to 24, verse 18. And it is really the first set of laws and commandments given in the Bible after the 10 Commandments. It has a total of 53 commandments. What is interesting in this parasha is that it begins with the instructions about how to deal with a Hebrew slave. And of course, the first question is, why does it start with this particular commandment? And the reason which is given is that indeed the children of Israel were slaves in Egypt, and now that they are free, it's one of the most important commandments of how to deal with slaves in the future. But the interesting aspect of this commandment in terms of gematria is that it says that after a slave has served you for 6 years, in the 7th year, you shall set him free together with his wife and his children and with all his possessions. However, if he does not want to go free, then you shall take him to the doorpost and pierce his ear with an awl or with a nail. In Hebrew, it's matzeh. And then he shall serve you for all his days. So the question is, why is there this ritual of piercing his ear with a nail on the doorpost? So from a geometrical point of view, door is dalet in Hebrew. In fact, it's the same as the letter dalet, which has the same spelling, and it has a value of 4. Now, as we know, 4 represents the physical world or the phenomenal world, the material world. And he pierces his ear with a nail. Now, the nail in Hebrew is matzeh. Matzeh comes up to a geometrical value of 400. The ear, of course, is the organ by which one hears the commandments. In fact, most of the instructions given in the Bible are through hearing, not through seeing. So it's the vital organ in terms of receiving the laws of God. So when you pierce the ear with a nail with a value of 400 to a door post, which has a value of 4, it means fixing the 400 to the 4. Now, as we know in gematria, 400 is the value of the last letter of the alphabet, the letter Taf, and it is the highest spiritual level that man can reach on this earthly plane, after which he goes on to the 500 and up to the 1,000, beyond this earthly plane into the next world. So what is happening in this ritual is that the slave is fixing his spiritual values, his spiritual knowledge to the physical world. He is saying, I do not want to go to the next world. I do not want to reach a higher level of spiritual knowledge. I want food in my stomach. I want clothes on my back and a roof over my head. Now, if we extrapolate this ritual and shift it into Christianity, then it becomes interesting, because the ancient symbol for the letter Taf is actually a cross. Now, if the symbol of the cross has a value of 400, and that the nail, matzeh, has a value of 400, then Jesus, when being fixed to the cross, is saying something very similar to the slave, but at a level higher. He is saying that I do not want to go into the next world, but to fix myself at this highest spiritual value on the earthly plane. In a Buddhist concept, it is saying that I will not reach enlightenment until all other sentient beings have reached enlightenment before me. And this is the message which is conveyed if we do this analysis. Thank you for listening.